On this Sunday night, assessing the human toll of an historic wildfire season. Communities in BC's Shuswap and interior
unrecognizable,
destroyed.
66 years old and have nothing,
With thick smoke now blanketing much of the province and beyond, how it and a break in the weather
we are finally feeling like we're moving forward.
Could make all the difference in the firefight. Fanning the flames of misinformation in the Northwest Territories.
It is a really dangerous thing to have during a crisis like this.
The dire consequences of banning Canadian news on social media. And defying the order.
Maybe we'll die, maybe we won't, I don't know. This is just the thing that we need to do.
A couple in the northern community of Enterprise stays behind while their town is leveled by fire.
Global National with Farah Nasser. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Uncertainty and anxiety hang in the air for a number of communities in BC as the worst fire season on record there threatens tens of thousands in the province's interior. We begin in the Kelowna area where the large McDougall Creek fire is being kept at bay. Hundreds of firefighters are pushing back against the blaze, which is now 110 square kilometers in size. Despite some growth, officials say crews are making progress. There were also no new evacuations overnight and no new structures destroyed. But thousands of evacuees still don't know if they have homes to come back to. And for some, their worst fears are already confirmed.
What did you just land?
I have nothing left. Everything's burned, gone.
How are you feeling?
Don't know, sad. Don't know what I'm going to do.
The flames are also taking a heavy emotional toll on firefighters, even as improving conditions help them make gains.
Sorry, it's been a long few days. I just want to congratulate all our firefighters. There's people out there working 36, 48-hour shifts, and they take an absolute beating. They know their family's being evacuated while they're trying to defend their neighbor's home, and they just keep going.
Richard Zussman joins us now from West Kelowna. Richard, some much-needed good news on the firefight today.
Yeah, good news in terms of conditions, good news in terms of help. Canada Task Force 1 has arrived from Vancouver. They're going to be surveying the area to assess that damage and give people those much needed answers, Colleen, that they're looking for.
Okay, now I can see a house.
It's now Brant Barrett and Daron Archer's routine. Every few hours, leave the hotel, arrive here, pull out the binoculars, and try to get a clue, any clue, if their home is still standing.
Yeah, I guess there's anxiety there. We're walking through it.
Heavy smoke is setting in across the central Okanagan. They know homes have been lost here, but how many? Still a big unknown.
But now, it's very smoky. You can't see much. So you just wait, I guess, for a proper update.
An update did come Sunday. No news yet on how many structures have been lost, but some optimism on the firefight itself. Winds have remained calm, temperatures steady, allowing crews to make some gains.
We are finally feeling like we're moving forward rather than we're moving backwards.
Help has also arrived. Canada Task Force 1 now on the ground to help assess the damage, while nearly 500 firefighters from across the province and beyond continue to do the work needed to save homes.
Crews are optimistic and in good spirits heading out today because we've got some really critical objectives that are going to be met today and tomorrow.
Ron Hartlov says when he evacuated, he just tossed the dogs in the car, grabbed important papers, and got out. The emotion of the situation pouring out when thinking about what fire crews are doing to help.
One of the fire trucks from 32 was at the light beside me, and I started to choke up and honked the horn, gave him a thumbs up, and I'd like to thank him.
Evacuation orders are still in place. More than 10,000 people in this region on alert, more than 10,000 on order as well. In terms of the work that's being done by this group, they are going to do the assessment, and potentially as early as tomorrow, those in this region will get some details on at least preliminary numbers in terms of how many structures have been destroyed, and people may start getting an indication on whether their home has been destroyed. That big question, Colleen, that so many people still have, they may finally get that answer.
All right, Richard Zussman in West Kelowna, BC. Richard, thank you. About 3 hours to the north in BC's Shuswap region, 2 out-of-control fires have emerged, spanning an estimated 41,000 hectares. It's a situation that's changing rapidly. Elissa Carpenter is there. Elissa, how are people coping as they try to stay safe?
We are just on the edge of Sorrento, a community of which most parts of that community have now been evacuated. We can tell you that there is a new blockade. This is as far into the town site as we're able to go. Yesterday we were able to go about 8 or 9 kilometers further into the town site. Now, a lot of vehicles arriving at that blockade, not realizing that this part of the Trans-Canada between Sorrento and Chase has been closed, and there are no detour signs warning you as you leave Salmon Arm. So some people arriving here extremely frustrated to find out that they're being turned around and adding a couple of hours to their drive. Now, we have seen several communities go from a no alert to orange, meaning there is an alert, back to no alert. It's been an all hands on deck situation really since Thursday. Many of those fighting these fires are volunteers. We caught up with some of the displaced, now camping in a Walmart and Winners parking lot in Salmon Arm, sharing their evacuation stories with us. They're worried about their homes and their businesses, and many wonder why they haven't seen a plane or a helicopter overhead when they know that there is water bombing going on in Kelowna, in the Okanagan, where fires are raging there.
Well, we haven't seen anything. Like, you know, with us, it was a spot fire from the Scotch Creek, a spark, and he left it for so long in Scotch Creek, it got away on him. Because it was just going up the mountain, it's not going to attach anything. And now, you know, Scotch Creek is, you know, things are burnt in Scotch Creek and stuff like that. So, yeah, they need to have a lot of resources. Like we do understand with Kelowna, because it's way bigger.
That's the thing, is the bombers. I mean, you got to have that water bomber stuff. That big, what was it called? The Martin Mars bomber, you know, that 4-engine thing? Like that, it's like a football field worth of water. Poof, out, done. Go to the next one, right? But no, we got these little things just pea shootering at the fires.
Now, of course, it's a frustrating time for a lot of people who live around here. Despite that, spirits remain pretty high in that Walmart parking lot. We saw the manager going from camper to camper, offering water, asking if everyone is okay, doing what they can to keep spirits high until it's safe to go home again.
Elissa Carpenter, thank you. Drifting wildfire smoke is shrouding much of the province, including the densely populated lower mainland. The Air Quality Health Index listing a moderate risk of 5 to 6, but to the east in the Fraser Valley, the risk is very high with ratings above 10. Global meteorologist Peter Quinlan is monitoring the situation. Peter, how long could these conditions last, and when can British Columbians expect a reprieve?
Colleen, we are expecting some major improvement for Metro Vancouver's air quality as we take you into the day on Monday. Could be back up to a 5 on the Air Quality Health Index, which is a moderate health risk. Meantime, in the interior, it is going to be quite some time before we see some vast improvement. Those off-the-chart 10-plus levels are possible right through the week as these fires linger. And what does that even mean? Well, it means even the general population should be avoiding outdoor strenuous activity. We don't even understand the health impacts to breathing this kind of thick smoke into your lungs over an extended period of time. That smoke will flood back in across the interior on Monday, then spread to the north with a southerly flow on Tuesday, helping clear the air through Metro Vancouver. But some of the worst air quality for the Fraser Valley and South Coast areas is possible on Friday as we get back into a bit more of an east to west influence. So we will eventually see a paring back of these special air quality statements. As for the winds in the fire zone, they've been coming in from the northwest and northeast. Those are going to change directions on Monday. A stronger southerly wind out ahead of some thunderstorms that could bring about a firing back up of some of those hot spots. Those thunderstorms can locally have some stronger wind gusts, but these ones will actually have some much needed rain for the Okanagan and Shuswap. 10 to 20 millimeters are possible. Hopefully crews can get the upper hand with that, because after that, by the end of the week into the weekend, daytime highs could return to the upper 20s or low 30s, marking a return to some very difficult firefighting conditions. Colleen.
Peter Quinlan, thank you. Some rain provided brief respite in the Northwest Territories, where more than 200 fires are burning, but wind is pushing the Yellowknife Fire east towards the city, and possible thunderstorms could spell more trouble for the communities of Hay River and Enterprise. Right now, evacuees are relying on information to know whether or not what they've left behind is safe. But as Jeff Semple explains, getting accurate information is now harder than it should be.
Reinforcements are on the way. Fire crews in northern Alberta taking to the skies to join the firefight in the Northwest Territories. While back on the ground, Ollie Williams is supporting that fight with his keyboard.
Scott, can you turn the sound settings on?
He and his small team of journalists make up Cabin Radio, a digital news broadcaster based in Yellowknife until last week. With the fire inching closer, they fled. On the 600-kilometer drive, the journalists kept filing stories with the latest details on the fires and evacuation.
We were still pushing those updates out, because you can't lose that source of information at that moment, because that's when it's most needed.
Over the past week, their news articles have become a lifeline for Yellowknife residents like Adam Archibald, who just escaped to Calgary. During last week's evacuation, he tried sharing one of Cabin Radio's stories on Facebook, but the post was denied.
Most people go to that Facebook for their news information.
Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, blocked all news content on its Canadian platforms after Ottawa tried to force the tech giant to pay publishers. Archibald says rumors and misinformation are filling the void.
It's basically like a gossip page on Facebook, and people were basically getting news off of there because you couldn't post Cabin Radio news feed or anything.
He says maps were being widely shared, falsely claiming the fire was about to hit the city. Other rumors said there'd been widespread looting, prompting some residents to try and return to their homes.
It's a stupid and dangerous ban. There's no two ways of getting around that. So Meta could lift the ban again right now in the interests of preservation of life.
In a statement, a Meta spokesperson says users can still access reputable information, including content from official government agencies, emergency services, and non-governmental organizations.
Yes, all of that information is on Facebook, but it's all in different little corners of Facebook, and you have to know where to go to find it. So the role of someone like Cabin Radio is to collate all of that and put it in one responsible place where people can go and check.
Williams and other evacuees also blamed the federal government for creating this situation. In an emailed written statement, the Canadian Heritage Minister called Meta irresponsible and reckless for continuing to block news on their platform during an emergency, putting Canadians in danger. Colleen?
Jeff Semple in Fort Simpson, Northwest Territories. Thanks, Jeff. Coming up, first a shuffle, now a retreat. The Prime Minister and his cabinet in Prince Edward Island, where wildfires top the agenda. And the questionable impact of the latest military support for Ukraine. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his cabinet are arriving on Prince Edward Island for a 3-day retreat. Mackenzie Gray is in Charlottetown, where things officially get underway tomorrow. Mackenzie, are wildfires expected to overshadow the agenda?
Yeah, it certainly could derail the retreat here, Colleen. We did hear from the Prime Minister when he arrived here in Charlottetown. Here's what he had to say about the wildfires.
During our session tomorrow, the Minister of Emergency Preparedness will be joining us, but virtually. He's staying home in British Columbia to continue leading the federal response and coordinate closely with the province on the situation, not just in Kelowna, but across the central Okanagan and in places where they're further threatened by fires.
One person we're expecting to hear from tomorrow is Bill Blair, the National Defence Minister, but we won't hear from Harjit Sajjan. The Emergency Preparedness Minister has stayed back in British Columbia to deal with the wildfire situation there.
And Mackenzie, what else is on the agenda?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of talk about housing and affordability. Really, this is kind of the second part of the Trudeau Liberals rebrand. He shuffled his cabinet last month. 7 cabinet ministers were out. 30 changes in total, and they're really trying to focus on housing and the economy. They'll be hearing from experts from CIBC, a number of other professors who are going to be talking about different ideas that Liberals can implement, but don't expect that they're going to be bringing any policies in. They're going to bring those ideas back to Ottawa, where they're going to have to continue to fight with Pierre Poilievre, because the Conservative leader is well ahead in the polls right now. Most polls either have him between 6 and 10 points ahead of the Liberals, and the key demographics that Justin Trudeau has relied on, millennials, women, and support out here in Atlantic Canada, have really faded away. That's why they're going to be turning to new ideas that they might come up with here in Charlottetown to bring back to Ottawa when Parliament starts in late September.
All right, Mackenzie Gray in Charlottetown. Thanks, Mackenzie. Fighter jets to Ukraine ahead, when they'll arrive and how strategic they'll be against Russian forces. Russia's space program took a hit today in the high-stakes race to get back to the moon. Officials in Moscow say the Luna 25 spacecraft collided with the moon's surface after losing contact and spinning out of control. Russia's space agency had hoped to become the first to land on the moon's largely unexplored South Pole, where scientists believe there is a possibility of water. An Indian spacecraft is expected to touch down on Wednesday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is vowing to take revenge against Russia for its latest attack on the northern city of Chernihiv, where a missile strike killed 7 people, including a 6-year-old girl. Zelensky called the attack vile. A missile hit the center of the city as people came together during an Orthodox holiday. Zelensky says in addition to the deaths, another 144 others were wounded. Today, Danish and Dutch governments committed to providing more air defense to the Ukrainian military. Up to 61 F-16 fighter jets are being donated. But as Redmond Shannon reports, the jets are unlikely to have an impact on the war anytime soon.
President Volodymyr Zelensky inspecting what he hopes will make a difference in the skies above Ukraine. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte announcing the long-awaited first donation of F-16 fighter jets.
For the exact number I cannot give you, but we are working from the fact that at this moment we still have 42 in stock here.
It was then the short hop to Denmark for the announcement of 19 more F-16s. Zelensky finally getting a feel for a jet he has long pleaded for.
More than 70 people from Ukraine is now on the ground here in Sønderjylland, preparing for training.
Ottawa is helping with that training and logistics, even though Canada doesn't have F-16s. The jets were designed in the 1970s, a similar age to the Soviet-era planes Ukraine currently owns. The F-16s, however, have been modernized.
One of the big benefits that F-16s are going to give Ukraine is that the other weapons that have been provided will be able to be used much more effectively.
Ukraine has said the first F-16s won't be in operation until next year.
We understand the number of jets we can use in the future, nearest or not. It depends on the situation and on the experience of our pilots.
Getting those pilots airborne is one thing, turning them into aces is another.
This is the kind of balancing act that Ukraine has had to do throughout this conflict.
Zelensky is hoping more countries will follow and is already pushing for donations of Sweden's Gripen fighter jets too. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Next, not recommended but greatly appreciated, commandeering a fire truck in an effort to save homes in Enterprise. We're starting to get a look at what's left of the town of Enterprise in the Northwest Territories. Much of the community is gone, destroyed by fire. While most followed the evacuation order to leave, our Jamie Dahl spoke to a couple who did not, choosing instead to take matters into their own hands.
It looks like the wake of a war zone. Homes, livelihoods melted away in a twisted, searing heap. A living nightmare some are only now realizing the full extent of.
Is this your first time coming back here?
Yeah. Everything gone.
Thought I'd be able to find something, but garage, my house over there, other shops. That's 22 years of happiness and joy. A whole bunch of nightmares too. And now just a mess.
I was just thankful and praying to God and anybody, the Creator, Allah, baby Jesus, anybody that would listen, please, help me some more. Give me the courage.
There were a couple of people who did try to save the hamlet of Enterprise.
There was no firefighters here. There was nobody here. We're the only ones here. You're here by yourself.
Lynn and her partner, Mike Kimball, defied the evacuation order and returned home. They say a crew from High Level stopped briefly to help. But with the hamlet ablaze, the couple went to great lengths, fighting back the flames, all on their own.
So we went and managed to go get a dozer. We broke into the fire department, the fire hall, and we stole a fire truck and the water truck from there.
How did you operate that truck?
That we borrowed. It's a truck. I'm a trucker. I turned the key. We got in, got the key, found the key, started it, and away we went. And the smoke was so thick and sparks flying. It was pretty hectic. It motivates you to go faster.
They saved their home and a few others on their street.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is damn. Maybe we'll die. Maybe we won't. I don't know. This is just the thing that we need to do.
Residents say 95% of this hamlet is completely gone. They're now wondering, where was the help? Where were the water bombers when they needed them most?
Like, it's just unbelievable. Like we're a forgotten land. It's like the people here, it didn't matter.
According to the fire chief in nearby Hay River, the blaze was moving at speeds topping 20 kilometers an hour.
Enterprise got hit pretty fast and we weren't able to get out there, but we are assisting now. We have crews out there right now just making sure that they're protecting any of the remaining structures.
Unfortunately, there's not very many left to protect, and some here told us they don't have insurance. Despite the hardship, the people in this little community have big hopes to rise from the ruins.
Put a bulldozer in and start fresh, right?
Jamie Dahl, Global News, Enterprise.
And that is Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Colleen Christie. The wildfire hardships are devastating, but in what feels like the worst of times, people are also reaching out to help each other. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.